Dobar dan svima vama koji se sada uključujete. Uživo ste na kanalu Radio Televizije Atlas. Pratite Pop Kvart, vašu dnevnu dozu kulture. Danas se bavimo svjetskim aktuelnostima iz sfere umjetnosti i dizajna i prvo vas vodimo na jednu izložbu koju možemo opisati kao arhitektonsku.
I'm Janelle Zara from Art Info.
And I'm Barry Bergdahl, the Philip Johnson Chief Curator of Architecture and Design at the Museum of Modern Art.
And we are at Henri Labrouste, Structure Brought to Light.
American architects in the late 19th and early 20th century overwhelmingly looked to Paris for examples of what a civic sphere would look like. So Labrouste was part of that. And so in a certain way, he becomes part of the DNA of American architecture around 1900. But you would be hard put to find a literal Labroustian building. So in the exhibition, we deal with both literal followers of Labrouste and more extended ones.
So these tables were actually commissioned for the exhibition?
I thought it would be incredibly interesting to shock visitors into looking at drawings hung not on the wall, as they're used to seeing them, but displayed on tables. And they are inspired by the tables, very abstract in form, that Labrouste designed for the Bibliothèque Sainte-Geneviève, the first of his two libraries. He wanted to create a library that would promote a spirit of contemplation, that the building itself would be conducive to study. So these vaults that are glossy white are actually light reflectors. So they're taking all of the light that's coming in 360 degrees around the building and intensifying it in order to make it easier for you to read below.
Can we talk about Labrouste's influences in his own life? What informed his architecture?
One, he was one of the first architects in a period when architects learned to look at the history of architecture in order to come up with solutions for current society, trained with the notion that one could find an ideal in the past. Around the 1820s, architects begin and artists to reject this notion of the fact that there was an ideal in the past, and they become interested in the fact that history is actually a record of a process of change. It's in 1828 when Labrouste is making his transition from student to practicing architect that the term avant-garde is framed for the first time as an artistic position.
So when visitors come, they'll obviously be drawn to this model. Can you tell us about it?
We were drawn to it too. We discovered it during the course of the research for this exhibition. It's by an architect who studied with Henri Labrouste named Anatole de Baudot, and he was interested in how reinforced concrete could allow for the opening up of absolutely enormous spaces. All of the structure is kept at the very edge of the space, and this entire central area is completely free of structure. It represents what we're trying to show in the entire final section of the exhibition, the fact that influence can lead to innovation.
In light of the current controversy with the New York Public Library and Norman Foster's revision of it, there have been a lot of comparisons to what the New York Public Library can learn from Labrouste.
So this is a very, very dramatic intervention into one of the most important buildings in the city, and I think a lot of people would like to see it slowed down and studied more, all the more because the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris has gone through a radical transformation in the last 20 years and has dealt with many of the same issues. So I do think there are things to be learned there. This exhibition, for better or worse, coincides with what is becoming now overtly the question of what will be the fate of the public building in a public space in the 21st century.
Nakon ove arhitektonske izložbe vodimo vas na još jednu koju sam malo čas opisao istorijskom. Sami ćete se uvjeriti da zapravo jeste tako. Velika izložba otvorena je danas u Parizu, u kojoj se prikazuje kako je francuski imperator Napoleon podijelio mišljenje u svojoj zemlji i inostranstvu. Izložba Napoleon i Evropa pokušava da prikaže Napoleona kao državnika i generala, kao plemenitog neprijatelja i zabavnog lika. Više od 250 predmeta će biti prikazano na izložbi, onih koji u Francuskoj nisu viđeni još od 1960. godina. Među pozajmljenim artefaktima iz inostranstva nalazi se i borilačka uniforma britanskog admirala Horacija Nelsona sa rupom od metka koji ga je umalo ubio u bici kod Trafalgara 1805. godine. Portreti njega kao heroja i osvajača postavljeni su naspram karikatura, kako bi uspjeli da prikažu kako su Napoleona doživljavali kući, a kako u inostranstvu. Prema kuratoru izložbe Emily Robb pokušali su da pokažu svaku stranu Napoleona kao istorijske ličnosti.
Ce qui est important pour nous aujourd'hui, c'est de pouvoir présenter ce nouveau regard et surtout une vision synthétique, une vision globale en fait du personnage de Napoléon et de son action. Les expositions napoléoniennes ont tendance plutôt à s'intéresser à un aspect en particulier et nous avons voulu éclater en fait cette vision et prendre de la distance.
Posjetioci izložbe će moći da vide nevjerovatna dostignuća čovjeka čija dominacija evropskom politikom bila jeste relativno kratka.
We would like to show also Napoleon himself, but also the face of Europe that he changed in a short 15 years. So what we want is to show him as a conqueror, as a politician, as a man of peace, and as a man of war, as someone who was both, who wanted to be God and who was also a man.
Na izložbi se pored vojnog uspjeha prikazuje i njegovo političko umijeće. Veliki dijelovi izložbe posvećeni su Napoleonu kao zakonodavcu sa kopijama njegovog zakonika koji se smatra njegovim tajnim legatom. Izložba će trajati do 14. jula u Vojnom muzeju u Parizu gdje je Napoleon i sahranjen. Poštovani gledalci, to je bilo sve što smo mi spremili za današnje izdanje Pop Kvarta. Meni je ostalo da vam kažem to da je takmičenje novih autora i dalje aktuelno i da svoje radove koji treba da budu komični, nebitno da li je to priča ili pjesma, treba da šaljete na adresu noviautori@rtvatlas.tv. Mi ćemo u petak zajedno sa predstavnikom nove knjige proglasiti pobjednika za ovu sedmicu ukoliko bude dovoljno kvalitetnog rada. Svakako ćemo proglasiti temu koja će biti aktuelna tokom sljedeće sedmice. Vidimo se ponovo sutra, do tada budite dobri, budite dobro. Prijatno!